Welcome to online training session day 5 analysis part 3. This is the last part of day 5 analysis. So this is our training series details. So today I am going to end up with the analysis and post processing, that is day 5, and then we'll start with topology optimization. The topics which I am going to cover in today's training session are as follows. First, we'll see NLSTAT, NL-STAT analysis of solid block in contact. Then complex eigenvalue analysis of a reduced brake system. Then response spectrum analysis of a structure. Nonlinear implicit analysis of bending of a plate. And couple linear heat transfer structure analysis. Last, we will see setting up of a modal analysis. So we'll start with NL-STAT analysis of solid block in contact. The purpose of this tutorial is to demonstrate how to carry out nonlinear implicit small displacement analysis in radius bulk involving elastoplastic material contact and continuing the nonlinear solution sequence from a preceding nonlinear load case. Model and load description, I'll show you the figure where it illustrates the structural model used for this tutorial. There are two square blocks, solid, they both are solid blocks made up of elastoplastic steel material. The dimension of the block and the material parameters are shown below. I'll show you that. In the first nonlinear subcase, pressure loading is applied to the top solid block, the top corners of which are constrained in x-y direction, that is translation along x and translation along y axis, that is DOF 1 and 2. The top solid is in contact with the bottom solid, the bottom corner of which are constrained in x-y-z direction, that is degree of freedom 1, 2 and 3. The second nonlinear subcase is to simulate the unloading and is a continuation of nonlinear solution sequence from the previous loading subcase. The following exercise includes create elastoplastic material, define contact between two blocks, define nonlinear implicit parameters, set up NL-STAT analysis for first subcase loading, then set up NL-STAT analysis for second unloading subcase, and submitting the job in Radios for the analysis and viewing the result. So we'll open HyperWorks Student Edition, load the user profile as Radios bulk data, and import the model. So I will go to File, Open Model, browse to the location where I have saved that model. So this is my model file. If I on this, you can see a load of 1000 is applied on the top side of the bottom, top side of the block, and the top block is constrained for the degree of freedom 1 and 2, that is translation along x and y, and the bottom block is constrained for the degree of freedom 1, 2, 3, that is translation along x, y and z axis. So now, to create a elastoplastic material, first we need to define the stress versus plastic strain curve for a material. So to define that, first we will click on Utility tab to create the table. Sometimes you may not see this Utility tab, so go to View, Browser, Hypermesh, and see whether the checkbox in front of Utility is there or not. Then on the Utility menu, click on Table Create. Select Create/Edit Table and select Table S1 from the tables defined, predefined tables. Enter the name as stress strain. You can give any color to it. And now input the values of x and y. Stress versus strain. 0.0, then 850.0, then 0.199717, then 5940.6, and click on apply. So it will come up with a pop-up like the load collector stress strain with table S1 card images created. Now click OK to close this. Now in the toolbar we'll select material and we'll update the material where we have created the elastoplastic material. Then select the radio button as update. Click on the material and select steel as the material, which is predefined created. You can see here. Then click on update/edit. Check the box in front of MAT S1. Then click on TID and select stress strain, that is table ID. Select this table. Keep all the other parameters as it is and click return. Again click return to exit the material panel. Now the next step is to define the contact between the two blocks. So to define the contact between the two blocks, first we will create the entity sets. So we'll go to analysis page. On analysis page, click on entity sets. Enter the name of the set as top, card image, set elements. From the entity, select properties and click on the property and select solid 1. Click on select. Now similarly create another set for bottom. Again set element, set the type as non-order, entity set as property, and say create. So I haven't created the top, so I will create again the top one. And click on create. So my two sets have been created, the top and the bottom. Now I will create the interface between these two blocks. So to create the interface between any two elements or two components, in analysis page, click on interface. Enter the name as solid contact. Select the type as contact and click on create. Then go to add radio button to add the master and slave. So select solid contact. In master, select set, click on set, select top. Sorry, for the master we will select bottom and say update. And again for slave we will select top and say update. So we'll update both the master one and the slave one. Make sure there are two update buttons. So for the master one you have to click on the upper update, and for the slave one you have to click on the lower update. Then click on the review. The review has to be look like this. If it's not looking like this, that means there is something wrong during your interface creation. So now I have generated the interface, so you can see the interface has been created. Click return to exit it. Then click on card image. Select solid contact. Go to edit. Select the type as S-slide. SID and MID should be like top and bottom, that is correct. And M orient is to be normal. Then click return. Again click return to exit the interface panel. Now we will define the nonlinear implicit parameters. So to define that, we will go to load collector icon. This icon is used to define the load collector. Enter the load collector name as NL-param. We'll select the card image as NL-param. Click on create edit and specify some values related to that. We'll put the default values. Then click return to accept these. Again we will click return to exit the load collector panel. Now the next step is to define the load step, that is the load case or the sub case. So I'll go to analysis, load step, enter the name as loading, select nonlinear quasi-static analysis, check the box in front of SPC, select SPC, check the box in front of load, select pressure, then we'll check the box in front of NL-param and select NL-param. Then click on create. Again we will click create one more subcase as unloading. Select the type as nonlinear quasi-static. Uncheck the box load. Keep all the other things as it is. Click on create, then click on edit, go to CNTNS subcase, check this and click return. Sometimes you may find that why these things are there, or why we are checking these things and why not the other. So I will show you from where you can see this. So if I again go to edit, you can see it's CNTNL sub. So I will put it here. That is CNTNL sub and click on search. So you can see continue nonlinear solution sequence for a preceding nonlinear subcase. So this command is used in the subcase information section to continue a nonlinear solution from a preceding nonlinear subcase and thus create complex loading sequences. So to know more about these things, you can directly go to help Because if I take each and every details in the training session, it will be very long training sessions. So that's why I keep on skipping the things and I focuses on the tutorial instead of going in deep detail. So you can go to that. The help command is given here. So I will click return. Again I will click return. Now I will define some output control parameters. So I will go to analysis, control cards. Check the global output request. Check the box CONTF, displacement, strain, stress, and in all the things we'll select the option as yes. And in strain we will select type as plastic. We need plastic strain as the output. Now we will submit the job. So I will save this file. And go to analysis, radius, export option to all, run option to analysis, memory option to default, and submit the job. It will take some time to solve it. So now you can see my analysis completed message has appeared. So now I will split the window into two to view the results in Hyperview of two different load cases for a particular, say, displacement, stress, strain, and other related things. So I'll go to open load model, select the file, open the std file and say apply. I will maximize this, and first we will select the displacement for loading and unloading. Similarly, elemental strain 2D for loading and unloading, elemental strain loading and unloading, elemental stress unloading and loading. So in this way, these are the two nonlinear analysis. If I want to increase, I can increase the animation too, or you can see the animation for loading and unloading both. Contact pressure for loading and unloading, plastic strain, and plastic stress for loading and unloading, both the cases. So in this way, I have ended with this tutorial. So now I will move to the next tutorial, that is complex eigenvalue analysis of reduced brake system. So in this tutorial, model complex eigenvalue analysis is performed on a simplified brake system to determine where the friction effects can cause any sequential noise, unstable mode. The simplified brake system consists of brake pad with friction surface and a back plate and a contact plate. They were all modeled with solid elements. Spring elements CLAS1 were created between the brake pad and the contact plate to measure the normal contact force as shown in figure 1. The friction force on the pad and the contact plate are proportional to the normal contact forces. The stiffness matrix terms representing the relationship between friction forces and normal displacement on the contact grid were saved in DMIG bulk data file, that is dmig.pch. Assume the brake pad is in full contact with the plate at all time. The back plate of the brake pad and the contact plate were constrained to the ground. The following exercise includes set up the problem in Hypermesh, submitting the job in Radios within the Hypermesh and viewing the result in Hyperview. So I will start with the HyperWorks Student Edition. We'll open the model. So we'll go to File, Open Model, and we have to import the file because there is FEM file. So I will go to Import. Part 3 and import the file. So this is the file with me, which is constrained at the bottom, as you can see. I will decrease the size to 1. So you can see these are constrained and they all are 3D elements. You can see these all are hex meshing. So we'll start our tutorial. So first we will create EIGRL and EIGC card. In this step, a modal method is used to solve the complex eigenvalue problem, which is more computationally efficient compared to extracting the complex modes directly. With the approach, first real modes are calculated via a normal modes analysis, then a complex eigenvalue problem is formed on the projected subspace snapped by the real modes and thus much smaller than the real space. In this case, both EIGRL and EIGC cards need to be defined. So to create these two cards or two load collectors, we will go to load collector icon. Enter the load collector name as EIGRL. Select the card image as EIGRL and click on Create Edit. Enter the number of modes, that is ND, to 20 and then click on Return. Then we'll create another load collector as EIGC, card image as EIGC, click on Create Edit, select the norm to max and ND0 to 12. This desires the number of root to be extracted, that is 12 roots to be extracted. Then I will click return and return to exit the load collector panel. Then retrieve the friction data from DMIG card and define analysis parameters. So we will retrieve the patch file for this and then we will define the analysis parameters. So I will go to analysis. In analysis page, to retrieve that file, I will go to analysis. In analysis, I will select control cards. Click on include bulk. Enter the name as DMIG.pch. Click return. Then select K2PP. Again the question arises, what is this K2PP stands for? So again we'll go to, I always suggest to go to help if you have any doubts related to it. Any cards, anything which you think you didn't understand what is the parameters, and to understand it in much details you can go to help, enter K2PP click on search. So this K2PP is direct input stiffness metric selection. The K2PP command can be used in subcase information section to select a direct input stiffness matrix which is not included in normal modes. So we will include it here. So number of K2PPs to be 1, we will keep that as 1, and in the field of K2PP we will enter the values as KF. KF is the name of DMIG data entry. Then we will click on return to go back to the control cards. Then click on param, go back to G value, check the box of G, and in G V1 we will input the value as 0.2 as the structural damping coefficient. Then we will click return. Again we will go to param and select FRIC. Here we will input the value as 0.05. Friction factor 0.05 is used to scale the friction coefficient from DMIG data entry. Then we will click on return twice to exit the control cards. Now the next step is to define a load step for model complex eigenvalue analysis. So I will go to analysis, load step, enter the name as complex eigen, select the type as complex eigen model, check the box in front of SPC and select SPC. Check the box in front of C method and select EIGC. Check the box in front of method structure and select EIGRL. Then we'll click on create and return. So my load step is defined now. So now I will save this file and submit the job in Radius. So analysis, Radius, and submit the file. File, save as model, save. We need to run this file in that location where the DMIG file is there. So the complex eigenvalue analysis computes the complex mode of the structure. The eigenvalue of the complex mode can be found in break complex files. So I will show you that. As the out file. So these are the details. If I So these are the subcase 1, different modes, frequencies, eigenvalues, stiffness, All these details are provided. And these are the extracted values. Mode 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 12. Eigenvalues, frequency and damping. So the complex mode contains the imaginary part which represents the cycle frequency and a real part which represents the damping of the mode. If the real part is negative, that this part is negative, then the mode is said to be stable. If the real part is positive, then the mode is unstable. So this mode is unstable, as you can see. This is also an unstable mode. The eigenvalue of complex modes are shown, as you can see here. So in the mode 7 you can see the damping coefficient is negative, and in mode 11 also the damping mode is negative. So when it is positive, the damping goes negative, that means the modes are unstable. Also, if you want to see the results of this, we can go to Hyperview. So these are the results of the analysis. Eigen mode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So 12 modes it has extracted, and these are the different values. So in this way I have ended with this tutorial. Now let's move to the next tutorial, that is response spectrum analysis of a structure. In this tutorial, demonstrate how to perform a response spectrum analysis on a structure. This kind of analysis is used to provide an estimate of peak structural response to a structure subject to dynamic excitation. The analysis use response spectra for a prescribed dynamic loading and results of normal mode analysis to calculate this estimate. In the mode used shown in, I'll show you in the Hyperver student edition. A building structure is modeled using C-beam element having solid circular X section that is type rod. The base of the building structure will be constrained for all degrees of freedom, and the structure will be excited in a global Z direction. The following process will be followed. That first you will set up the problem in Hypermesh, submit the job in Radius, view the results in Hyperview. So I will open the file. I will first check the file type is HM. So I will go to File, Open, Model. So this is my model. If I make it in a 3D representation, you can see if I mass. So these are a solid rod element. You can see. Okay, so I will unmask all. So this is the structure. I will off this element info. So first we will create EIGRL card. So I'll go to load collector, enter the load collector name as EIGRL, name it as EIGRL, click on create edit. We'll input the number of modes to be 10. Now we will create a constraint To constrain this model, so I will enter the name as SPC without any card image. I will change the color to, click on create, click return to exit the load collector panel. Then on analysis page I will go to constraint. On analysis page I will go to constraint. And I will pick the nodes, the bottom 4 nodes of the model. So these are the nodes which I will constrain. We'll constrain for all the 6 degrees of freedom. Check, make sure the load type is SPC. Click on create. If it's very small, you can increase the size of it. If you on this, you can see they are constrained at the bottom. Why it is very small? Because if we check the distance, if we press F4 and if we check the distance, you can see the distance is very high. So if the model is very big, so these representing triangles will be small by default. Then the next step is to define the input response spectrum using table D1 card. So we'll define a table D1 card. I'll go to utility. Again I will show you, if you are not able to see the utility tab, go to view, browser, hypermesh and click, make sure this checkbox is there. Then we will click on FEA and select table create. We will select create/edit table option. We'll enter the table name as table D1 card. Or we already have, if we have an existing table, we can also create that. So again I will go to create table, browse the file, see program files, Altair 11, tutorials, HW solver, radius. Here you will find CSV file. So I will search for CSV file and we need source file table 1 and we'll click on open. So this file we need and click on apply. So this message will come, the load collector table 1 card with card images created. So this file contains all the details of the X and Y plot. So I directly imported that. So it's just a simple file, Excel file. I will show you in the Excel. With the type, this file I have imported. So you can see this is a simple file with X and Y details. So you can create any Excel sheet, save it in CSV and directly import that as CSV. So you can directly import these values. And if you want to see the input values, you can go to same, edit existing table, this one. So in this way, the XY plot will come. If you want to see the plot, this is the XY plot. So we have created this to input the response spectrum. So I will close this, exit this. Now the next step is to define DTI and SPEC SEL card. This card is used to specify the type of spectrum and damping values associated with the input response. Spectrum defined using table D1 card in the previous step. So I will go to load collector. Enter the load collector name as DTI card. Select card image and select DTI as the card image. Click on create edit. And in TID 1, I will select table 1, that is table ID. And in temp 1, will enter the value as 0.02, that is the damping coefficient for the critical damping. Then I will click return, and again I will click return to exit the load collector panel. So you can see my load collector has been created. Then we will define RSPEC card. This card is used to provide the specification of response spectrum analysis. So again I will go to load collector. Enter the load collector name as RSPEC card. Select as RSPEC card image and click on create edit. For directional combination method DCOM, I will select ALG, and for modal combination, that is MCOM, I will select SRSS. So these are the two edits I will do. We'll click on the close and enter the value as 1 in the input box. Here I will enter the value as 1 and select the DTI card. For scale, I will enter the value as 9800. Since the direction of excitation of structure is in global Z direction, so we will enter the values as x00, x01 will also be 0, and this will be 1. So I have edited these details. I will click return. Again I will click return to exit the load collector panel. Then we will define the modal damping for the structure. So again we will go to load collector panel. Enter the load collector name as TABDMP L card. Select the card image as TABD MP1 and click on Create Edit. Select the type as CRT. Enter the table damping number as 2 and input the values as F1 for G to be 0.2, F2 to be 50, frequency, G will be, the damping coefficient will be same. Then we'll click return twice to exit the load collector panel. Now the next step is to define the param card. So I'll go to analysis. In analysis I will select control cards, click on next and select the param. You will scroll it down and check the box in front of COUP mass, and for the value we will select yes. So the coupled mass matrix approach is used for eigenvalue analysis. Then we will again scroll down and we'll check the box EFF mass and select the value as yes. So the modal participation factor and effective mass are computed and output to the .out file. Then I will click on return. Then I will click on preview and define the output required, that is the displacement as output by default. So I will go to global output request and scroll it down to stress, and in option I will select all. Then again I will click on return and again return to exit the control card panel. Now we will define the response spectrum analysis load step. So I will go to analysis, load step, enter the load step name as RESPON, response spectrum, select the type as response spectrum, check the box in front of SPC and select SPC. Check the box in front of RSPEC and select RSPEC card. Check the box in front of method structure and select EIGRL card. Check the box in front of STMPING and select table MP1 card. Then we'll click on create to create the load step. So I will click on return to exit the load step and save the file. And run for the analysis using Radios. Submit the job in Radios. So my analysis is completed. You can see the message. Now we will split the window into two and view the results of displacement and stress for this particular analysis. So I will click on contour, click on apply. So this is the displacement, elemental stresses, so these are the elemental stresses. If I see the animation, as the displacement value is very less, so that's why it's the animation, you have to magnify the animation. So you can see in this way the animation will look like. So in this way you can perform the response spectrum analysis for any structure. So in this way I have ended with this tutorial. Now I will move to the next tutorial. So now we will move to the next tutorial. That is nonlinear implicit analysis of bending of a plate. The purpose of this tutorial is to demonstrate how to carry out nonlinear implicit analysis in radius bulk by simulating the bending of plate under constant pressure. The following exercise includes: create plastic material and corresponding shell properties, set up boundary condition and impose velocity, set up implicit analysis, submit job and view the results. So I will first quickly check with the file. So this is the NAS file, as you can see. So I have to import the model. So I will go to import solver deck or import model. So I will go to import solver deck. Fourth, select all files and click on import. So in this way my plate has been imported, as you can see here. Now we'll start the tutorial. First we need to define unit system. So from analysis control guards, we will go to DTI units. We will select the mass in mgg, force in Newton, length in mm, time in seconds, and click return. Again we will click return to exit the control guard panels. Then we update the material. So I will go to material collector, select the radio button, update, click on mats and select mat1_1 and click on update edit. And in mat X, I will select mat X02 to define additional material properties for Johnson Cook elastic plastic material for geometric nonlinear analysis. So the following input values has to be provided. So A as 100 and B as 1. For these values too, you can directly refer to the help to get it more clear why this 100 and 1. What are this A and B stands for. Then I will click on return to exit the create edit panel. Again I will click return to exit the material collector. Then we will update the property. So I will go to property collector icon. This icon is used to create or update the properties. Go to update radio button. Select shell 1. Click on update edit. Check P shell X. Enter as I shell 24. NIP as 1 and click return. Again click return to exit the property collector. Then we create the boundary conditions. So I will go one by one. First we will create a load collector as load collector SPC. We will toggle it to no card image, define a appropriate color. Click on create. So my load collector has been created. Then we will apply the constraints. I will go to analysis, constraint, make it as 10, the default one. Then we will select the nodes. I'll make it an XY and select these nodes. So these we will select for the 3 degrees of freedom. I'll say reject. I will only select 1 and 3. And for these bottom 2, I will select the 2, 1 also. Then I will click return to exit the load constraint panel. Then I will create impose loading. So again I will go to load collector icon. Enter the load collector name as pload with no card image. I will select a different color, create and return. Then in analysis we will go to pressure, entity selection we will keep as element. Click on elements and select all. And in the magnitude I will select constant vector as minus 0.02. We'll select the load type as P load. Keep all the other parameters as it is. We'll click on create. So you can see the pressure has got created. So I will off this. The size is small. So if you want to see it more, you can increase the size. So you can see this. So in this way, the pressure has got created. You can see like this. Okay. Then we again go to load collector and create another load collector as th impose load with the card image as table D1. and click on Create Edit. Then enter the table number as 2. For x0, y is also 0, and for x1, y will be 1. Now my curve is being created, and now we'll create one more load collector as LC IMP load. With a card image, we will select N load 1. Click on Create Edit. In Excite ID, I will select LC P load. In TID, I will select TH IM load. And in type, I will select load. Then we'll click return. Again click return to exit the load collector panel. Now we'll define implicit analysis parameters. So we'll enter the load collector name as LC NL param with card image as NL param. We'll click on Create Edit. We'll select the convergence criteria as P force with a tolerance value of 0.01. We'll check the box in front of NL param X. This defines the parameters of implicit nonlinear analysis iteration strategy, and input the following values as TAO as 0, DTA as 0.1, nprint as -1, solve as NEWT, this value as default, this as 0.1 e to the power -5, dt max as 0.5, ITW as 6, DTSCI as 1.1, LTTN as default, and TDSCD as the default. So we'll keep all the other values as default. Then we'll click return. Again we'll click return to exit the load collector panel. Now we'll define the global output request. So I'll go to analysis, control cards, global output request. Check the box in front of displacement, EL force, O load, stress and strain, and making all the options to yes. Now we create implicit analysis subcase, that is the load step. So I'll go to analysis load step panel, enter the load step name as sub underscore NLGOM implicit. Type as geometric nonlinear. Check the box in front of SPC and select LC SPC. Check the box in front of N load and select LC IMP load. Check the box in front of NL param and select LC NL param. Check the box in front of T TRM and enter the value as 1. Then click on create. Now I will save this file and run the analysis. So my analysis has got completed. Now I will see the results in Hyper-V. So we will open the file. For 0th second, the stresses, so these are the required results which we got from the analysis. So in this way I have ended this tutorial. Now we will move to the next tutorial, that is coupled linear heat transfer structure analysis. A coupled heat transfer structure analysis on a steel pipe is performed. In this tutorial, the pipe is fixed on the ground at one end and the heat flux is applied on the other end. A linear steady state heat conduction solution is defined first. Then it is referred by a structure solution by TEM to perform the coupled thermal structural analysis. The problem is defined in Hypermesh and solved with the Radios implicit solver. The heat transfer and structure results are post-processed in Hyper-V. The following exercises are included. Create the thermal structure, material and property. Apply thermal loads QBDY1 and boundary condition CHBDYE. Submit the job in Radios, post-process the results in Hyper-V. So I will open this file in, so we will open the file. I will check the file type. The file is FEM, so I will import it as a solver deck. Select import. analysis constraint and decrease the value. I will again further decrease the value. So it is constrained here, as you can see. The model is short, that's why the size of the constraint is very big. So it all depends on the model. So now we'll start the tutorial. Now the first step is to create the coupled thermal material or structural material properties. So we'll create the material and property collector before creating the component collector. So I will click on material, go to create, enter the material name as steel, define a color, set the type as isotropic, card image as mat1, click on create edit, check the box in front of mat4. The mat4 card image appears below mat1 in the material information area. mat1 card image is used to define the isotropic structural material, whereas the mat4 card image is for constant thermal material. mat4 uses the same material ID as mat1, you can see here. So if a quantity in bracket does not have a value below, it is off. To change it, we need to click on the brackets. So we'll input the following properties: E as 2.1, e to the power 10, then nu as 0.3, rho as 7.9, 10 to the power, e to the power 3, thermal expansion coefficient, that is A, as 1 e to the power -5, K, that is thermal conductivity, as 73. Then I will click on return. Again I will click on return to exit the material collector. Now the next step is to define the property collector. So I will click on property icon, go to create radio button, enter the property name as solid, define a color, select the type as 3D because these are the 3D elements, card image as P solid, material as steel, click create and return. So my properties also got created. Now we will assign the properties and material to the component. So I will go to component icon, click on update, select the component pipe, from no property I will toggle it to property and select solid and click on update. Then we will click on return. So my properties material has been assigned to the element, as you can see by color difference. Now we will apply the thermal loads and boundary condition to the model. A structural constraint SPC structure is applied on RB2 element, as you can see the load collector, to fix the pipe on the ground. Two empty load collector SPC heat and heat flux have been pre-created. Now in this step, in the preceding step, we will see the thermal boundary conditions and heat flux will be applied on the model and saved in SPC heat and heat flux respectively. So we will first make the SPC heat as the current. We'll go to analysis constraint to apply the SPC heat. We'll select nodes by set and select the heat one. So these are the nodes. Uncheck all the boxes and click on create. Then we'll click on return. Then we'll create CHB DYE surface element, that is the heat flux will be applied on surface of the free end of pipe. Therefore the surface element CHBDYE for defining heat transfer boundaries must be created first. So I will go to analysis, interface, enter the name as heat flux or say heat surface. Select the type as conduction, define an interface color. Then we'll click on create. Then we'll select radio button add. Select the heat flux. Rotate the model to the front side. For the slave we will select face. Solid elements by set and we'll select these. So only these elements will get selected. On the nodes I will select these 4 nodes of the face and click on add. So you can see the heat flux is added here. This adds the CHBYD surface element on all the solid elements following the same side convection. Then the next step is to create heat flux on surface element. In this step, the uniform heat flux into CHBDYE element will be defined by QBDY1 entity. So we will select the heat flux to be the current component and click return. In analysis page, we will go to flux. Elements by group, select heat surface. Load type, we will select QBDY1 from the list. Enter the value as 1 and click on create. So this creates the heat flux. We can decrease the size. The uniform heat flux into surface elements are now defined. So I will click return to exit it. Now the next step is to create a heat transfer load step. So we'll go to analysis, load step, enter the name as heat transfer, select the type as heat transfer, check the box in front of SPC and select SPC heat. check the box in front of load and select heat flux and click on create. So my load step has been created. Now I will click on edit. Check the box in front of analysis and select the type as heat. Check the box in front of output and activate the option flux and thermal. Click the button under format and select H3D for both, so that we will get the results in H3D format, and options to all. So I will click return. Then we create another load step for structural loading. So to perform coupled thermostructure analysis, the heat transfer subcase need to be referred by a structural subcase through temp card. Since this is not supported in Hypermesh, the linear static structural subcase has to be created through control unsupported cards or by editing the .fem file after model export. So I will create a unsupported card here. So I will go to analysis, control card, control unsupported. We'll enter subcase to SPC 3 10 1. So the SPC ID and the temp ID has to be like the one which you see here. Now I will save this file. And run the analysis. So now you can see my analysis has got completed. So we will see the results of it. So I will split the window into two. Load the model. Maximize it. Go to contour. This is the element flux for heat transfer. Temperature and grid temperature.
The organizer has ended the session and this call will be disconnected. Goodbye.
Sorry, as the webinar got ended due to some technical issues on my side. Now I will again rejoin it and we will see the results. So these are the results of temperature grid for the first load case, and these are the results for the second load case, displacement and stresses. So these are the required results which we want. Also you can see the animation plot. As you can see, the displacement value is very less, so we will magnify it. You I decrease the time speed, so you can see this. So this is the results or the and the animation plot. Now we will move to the last tutorial for this training session. So I will again split it into a single window. New session. Now we will see setting up a model analysis, how to set up a model analysis. In this tutorial, we will see how to gain an understanding of basic concepts of creating a radios input file. More specifically, learning how to set up a model for model analysis, specify solver specific controls, and also submit an input file to solver from Hypermesh. So we will see this. So I will open the file in Hypermesh. So this is my file on which I will show you how to set up a model analysis. So this tutorial contains a bracket and a channel assembly. To complete the setup of model for model analysis with radios, we need to define the normal mode subcase containing method and SPC statement. So the following exercise includes create constraints, define the load step, use output control cards, export the model to radios, and submit the radios file. So my material properties and components are created. So I will just quickly check the material aluminium, go to card image and see the properties of aluminium. And as well as for the steel. So yes, both are the properties correct. Now I will create the load collector for model. So I will enter the load collector name as model and enter the card image as EIGRL. Click on create edit. Enter the number of nodes to be 10. Then number of modes to be 10, which has to be extracted. Then we will again create one more load collector as constraint, or name it as SPC, defining a color with no card image. Create. Go to analysis, constraint, make it in isometric view. And we will apply the constraints on this side. I will select these lines. Click on create. So in this way the constraint has got created. Now we will apply the mapped constraint. So I will on analysis page, I will go to load on geometry. Click on loads and select SPC and just map the load. So it will automatically divide into number of nodes available on that particular line. So this is also one way of doing it. Then we'll define the load step. So we'll go to analysis, load step, enter the load step name as normal modes. Select the type as normal modes. Check the box in front of SPC and method structure. Select SPC as SPC and method structure as modal and click on create. Then we define the format of the result file to be output from the radios. So we'll go to analysis control cards. We'll go to output. And we will select here H3D. Number of outputs I want 2. Second one I will select HM. Frequencies all and return. Now I will save this file. Go to radios, analysis page radios, and run this file. So my analysis has got completed. So I will go to hyperview file or hyperview window by splitting the window into 2 and opening the H3D file. So if I magnify it, so I will decrease the so this is the modal animation. It's increase the so these are the different mode shapes. For the first mode shape, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. So as you can see, these are the different modes of it. So in this way you can set up the modal analysis. Thank you very much for attending this session. If you have any queries or any suggestion related to this training session, feel free to contact us at edu-support@india.altia.com. Your suggestions are very valuable for us, so please keep on posting any suggestion or anything which you find it interesting on these videos. Then also please put your comments so that this will motivate us to move ahead with some more tutorials related to the HyperWorks training. Thank you very much.